Hi, this is Born in 62. I'm Henrik Jørs. Today I'm celebrating my 30-year anniversary as a black belt in karate. With me today I'll have my good friend Tommy, and we'll do some katas outside later on. It's raining today, but we'll do it anyway, but we'll probably cut it a little short. We wouldn't have done that 30 years ago, but that's what you do when you get older. If you look at this young psycho killer in the picture, that was me 30 years ago. As you can see from the date, it's exactly 30 years today, the 18th of July 1986. So 30 years go past very quick sometimes. Like I said, the weather today is rainy and showers come and go, and it'll be a bit difficult to do a lot of kicks and flying kicks, both because of our age and bad knees, but also because of the grass is wet. But we'll try to get some footage and see what we can do. 30 years ago it was warm, it was hot, it was sunshine. At the end of a summer camp I was going for the trial for the black belt, and the whole camp was really a kind of trial for me. I had volunteered as a team leader for one of the teams that would all try to graduate. We were 5 people going for the black belt, and there were a lot of people going for other belt grades. So I was a team leader for what was supposed to be an elite team, where we were supposed to be extra tough, extra good at everything. Of course, everything is relative, and sometimes it didn't work out. These camps were extremely fun, but also very hard. A typical day at such a camp would start very early. We had a morning run at 6 o'clock in the morning. Then it was breakfast. After breakfast there was the morning training, which was often very basic training or technical stuff, but normally not any fighting. Then came lunch, and it was a big meal of the day. In Denmark we have open sandwiches with dark bread, usually with some kind of meat on top of it. And I remember eating around 17 of these open sandwiches for lunch, so you can say that was a lot. But even with this enormous eating, you would normally lose weight on such a camp. And that particular camp where I got my black belt, I came in with a weight around 87 kilos when I started, and when I got home a week later I had lost 7 kilos, I was down to 80. So I was shredded. I can promise you that. Bruce Lee would have been envious. There was just bone and muscle, nothing more. And despite all the hardship, despite all the discipline, despite all that, it was fun. I loved it so much. Me and my good friend Carsten were both attending Copenhagen Business School at that time. We came to the lectures, we did our assignments, but in reality our lives was like we were professional sportsmen, because everything was centered around this working out, doing karate and so on. Usually I would run about 2 times a week. I would do karate 3 or 4 times a week. I would go to the gym and lift weights 2-3 times a week. And that was really what everything was centered about. We started out in this in the early 80s, and at that time a lot of American culture came to Denmark, and it was also the rise of the action movies. So usually we would meet up late in the afternoon at the gym, work out for a couple of hours, take a shower, go cruising. At that time he had a Cherokee Chief, and we felt like kings when we were cruising around in that old car. We would go buy some burgers, rent a movie. At that time you rented VHS tapes. You would go to some rental shop and rent tapes, and usually it would be either an action movie with Stallone, Clint Eastwood or so on, Arnold Schwarzenegger, or it would be some kind of karate ninja movie. We would buy some beers, some burgers, and we would sit looking at these movies, and that would be it several times a week. And that was what life was really centered about. So going to karate, training, working out, living that life, that was just, as you can probably tell from my voice and the look in my eyes. That was the time of my life. And it all culminated that summer when I got the black belt. The days at the camp was centered around the training in the afternoon. After lunch, there came a training block for around 3 or 4 hours, usually kicking and fighting. Then there was the evening meal, then there was some evening training. Sometimes it was more fun. We would go to the beach or play football, or we would go in the woods and attack each other. There would be set a course and you had to run this course, and there was someone lying there waiting in ambush. And even though it was fun, you were very excited about it. The instructors would often take someone out and make them ambush the people lying in ambush and so on. We had a great time. It was so fun. And in our minds, we were ninjas, we were soldiers. It was kind of paramilitary, and there was severe punishment if you came late, if you talked during training, if your gi wasn't right. But even if it was so tough and so hard, we loved it. At that time, I only had one gi. So when you were at a camp, you had 2 options. Every time you had trained, it would be drenched in sweat. So you could take it off and hope it would dry out until you had to wear it again for the next training session. Or you could do what I actually did. I put on a tracksuit on top of it, and my body warmth would make it dry. So you can imagine, for the last day when I was going for the trial, this would be pretty smelly and it would not be white in any way. The trial itself lasted about 5 or 6 hours. It was a lot of technique, it was a lot of demonstration about could you kick for several hours, did you have the stamina, could you make 100 push-ups on your knuckles, and so on. It all culminated in the last hour, which was one long fight. The 5 of us who were going for the black belt would be lined up, and everybody else would take turns fighting us. I don't know how many fights I had in that hour, but when I finished, my front leg was black from my knee up to my butt because of all the kicks I had taken. Usually you fight with your front leg, protecting the rest of you, so it is that leg that will get hurt in that kind of fighting because it will be kicked over and over. When I got home, I could hardly walk for a week. But on the other hand, the day after I got home, I went to the gym again and started working out because I was so high on this experience. So the years have passed, now 30 years later, and the way I do stuff don't look the same anymore. I'm awfully aware of that, but it's still fun. I'm still having fun with this, and that's the important part of it all. I hope you had enjoyed listening to this rant, and now we'll try to do some training outside if the showers don't drown us. Bye.